The Giza Pyramid Complex is an archaeological site on the Giza Plateau, on the outskirts of Cairo, Egypt. This complex of ancient monuments includes the three pyramid complexes known as the Great Pyramids, the massive sculpture known as the Great Sphinx, several cemeteries, a workers' village and an industrial complex. It is located some 9 kilometers inland into the desert from the old town of Giza on the Nile, some 25 kilometers southwest of Cairo city center. The pyramids, which have historically loomed large as emblems of ancient Egypt in the Western imagination, were popularized in Hellenistic times, when the Great Pyramid was listed by Antipater of Sidon as one of the 7 wonders of the world. It is by far the oldest of the ancient wonders and the only one still in existence. The Pyramids and the Sphinx. The Pyramids of Giza consist of the Great Pyramid of Giza, the somewhat smaller Pyramid of Khafre a few hundred meters to the southwest, and the relatively modest-sized Pyramid of Menkaure a few hundred meters further southwest. The Great Sphinx lies on the east side of the complex. Current consensus among Egyptologists is that the head of the Great Sphinx is that of Khafre. Along with these major monuments are a number of smaller satellite edifices, known as Queen's Pyramids, Causeways and Valley Pyramids. Khafre's Pyramid Complex. Khafre's Pyramid Complex consists of a valley temple, now buried beneath the village of Nazlat el Salman. Basalt paving and nummulitic limestone walls have been found, but the site has not been excavated. The valley temple was connected to a causeway which was largely destroyed when the village was constructed. The causeway led to the mortuary temple of Khafre. From this temple only the basalt pavement remains. The mortuary temple was connected to the King's Pyramid. The King's Pyramid has 3 smaller Queen's Pyramids associated with it and 5 boat pits. The boat pits contained a ship, and the 2 pits on the south side of the pyramid still contained intact ships. One of these ships has been restored and is on display. Khafre's pyramid maintains a limited collection of casing stones at its base. These casing stones were made of fine white limestone quarried from the nearby range. Khafre's Pyramid Complex. Khafre's Pyramid Complex consists of a valley temple, a causeway, a mortuary temple and the King's Pyramid. The valley temple yielded several statues of Khafre. Several were found in a well in the floor of the temple by Mariette in 1860. Others were found during successive excavations by Sieglin, Junker, Reisner, and Hassan. Khafre's complex contained 5 boat pits and a subsidiary pyramid with a serdab. Khafre's pyramid appears larger than the adjacent Khafre pyramid by virtue of its more elevated location, and the steeper angle of inclination of its construction. It is, in fact, smaller in both height and volume. Khafre's pyramid retains a prominent display of casing stones at its apex. Menkaure's Pyramid Complex. Menkaure's Pyramid Complex consists of a valley temple, a causeway, a mortuary temple, and the King's Pyramid. The valley temple contained several statues of Menkaure. During the 5th dynasty, a smaller anti-temple was added onto the valley temple. The mortuary temple also yielded several statues of Menkaure. The King's Pyramid has 3 subsidiary or Queen's Pyramids. Of the 4 major monuments, only Menkaure's pyramid is seen today without any of its original polished limestone casing. The Sphinx. The Sphinx dates to the reign of King Khafre. A chapel was located between its 4 paws that had unfortunate history of being repeatedly destroyed by unusual circumstances. During the New Kingdom, Amenhotep II dedicated a new temple to Haron-Tahari Makhet, and this structure was added onto by later rulers. Tomb of Queen Khantkares I. Khantkauzai was buried in Giza. Her tomb is known as LG 100 and G 8400 and is located in the central field, near the valley temple of Menkaure. The pyramid complex of Queen Khantkauz includes her pyramid, a boat pit, a valley temple and a pyramid town. Construction. Most construction theories are based on the idea that the pyramids were built by moving huge stones from a quarry and dragging and lifting them into place. The disagreements center on the method by which the stones were conveyed and placed and how possible the method was. In building the pyramids, the architects might have developed their techniques over time. They would select a site on a relatively flat area of bedrock, not sand, which provided a stable foundation. After carefully surveying the site and laying down the first level of stones, they constructed the pyramids in horizontal levels, one on top of the other. For the Great Pyramid of Giza, most of the stone for the interior seems to have been quarried immediately to the south of the construction site. The smooth exterior of the pyramid was made of a fine grade of white limestone that was quarried across the Nile. These exterior blocks had to be carefully cut, transported by river barge to Giza, and dragged up ramps to the construction site. Only a few exterior blocks remain in place at the bottom of the Great Pyramid. During the Middle Ages, people may have taken the rest away for building projects in the city of Cairo. To ensure that the pyramid remained symmetrical, the exterior casing stones all had to be equal in height and width. Workers might have marked all the blocks to indicate the angle of the pyramid wall and trimmed the surfaces carefully so that the blocks fit together. During construction, the outer surface of the stone was smooth limestone. Excess stone has eroded as time has passed. The pyramids of Giza and others are thought to have been constructed to house the remains of the deceased pharaohs who ruled over ancient Egypt. A portion of the pharaoh's spirit, called his ka, was believed to remain with his corpse. Proper care of the remains was necessary in order for the former pharaoh to perform his new duties as king of the dead. It's theorized the pyramid not only served as a tomb for the pharaoh, but also as storage for the various items he would need in the afterlife. The people of ancient Egypt believed that death on earth was the start of a journey to the next world. The embalmed body of the king was entombed underneath or wood in the pyramid to protect it and allow his transformation and ascension to the afterlife. Workers' village. The work of quarrying, moving, setting, and sculpting the huge amount of stone used to build the pyramids might have been accomplished by several thousand skilled workers. Unskilled laborers and supporting workers, bakers, carpenters, water carriers, and others were also needed for the project, along with the methods utilized to construct the pyramids. There is also wide speculation regarding the exact number of workers needed for a building project of this magnitude. When Greek historian Herodotus visited Giza in 450 BC, he was told by Egyptian priests that the Great Pyramid had taken 400,000 men 20 years to build, working in 3-month shifts 100,000 men at a time. Evidence from the tombs indicates that a workforce of 10,000 laborers working in 3-month shifts took around 30 years to build a pyramid. The Giza pyramid complex is surrounded by a large stone wall, outside which Mark Lenner and his team have discovered a town where the workers on the pyramids were housed. This town is located to the southeast of the Khafre and Menkaure complexes. Among the discoveries at the workers' village are communal sleeping quarters, bakeries, breweries and kitchens, a hospital and a cemetery. The workers' town discovered appears to date to the Middle 4th dynasty, after the accepted time of Khufu and completion of the Great Pyramid. According to Lenner and the AERA team, the development of this urban complex must have been quite rapid. All of the construction probably happened in the 35 to 50 years that spanned the reigns of Khafre and Menkaure, builders of the second and third Giza pyramids. Without carbon dating, using only pottery shards, seal impressions, and stratigraphy to date the site, the team further concludes, the picture that emerges is that of a planned settlement. Some of the world's earliest urban planning, securely dated to the reigns of 2 Giza pyramid builders, Khafre and Menkaure. Cemeteries. As the pyramids were constructed, the master base for lesser royals were constructed around them. Near the Pyramid of Khufu, the main cemetery is G7000, which lies in the east field located to the east of the main pyramid and next to the Queen's pyramids. These cemeteries around the pyramids were arranged along streets and avenues. Cemetery G7000 was one of the earliest and contained tombs of wives, sons and daughters of these 4th dynasty rulers. On the other side of the pyramid in the west field, the royal sons Nofret and Hemiunu were buried in Cemetery G1200 and Cemetery G4000 respectively. These cemeteries were further expanded during the 5th and 6th dynasty. Westfield. The Westfield is located to the west of Khafre's pyramid. It is divided into smaller areas such as the cemeteries referred to as the Abu Bakr excavations, and several cemeteries named based on the mastaba numbers such as Cemetery G1000, Cemetery G1100, etc. The Westfield contains Cemetery G1000, Cemetery G1600, and Cemetery G1900. Further cemeteries in this field are cemeteries G2000, G2200, G2500, G3000, G4000, and G6000. 3 other cemeteries are named after their excavators: Junker Cemetery, West Junker Cemetery, Eastern Steindorf Cemetery. Eastfield. The Eastfield is located to the east of Khafre's pyramid and contains Cemetery G7000. This cemetery was a burial place for some of the family members of Khafre. The cemetery also includes mastabas from tenants and priests of the pyramids dated to the 5th dynasty and 6th dynasty. Cemetery GIS. This cemetery was dated to the time of Menkori or earlier, but contains several stone-built mastabas dating to as late as the 6th dynasty. Tombs from the time of Menkori include the mastabas of the royal chamberlain Nefert, the king's son Khafre, who was master of the royal largesse, and an official named Nyankra. Central Field. The Central Field contains several burials of royal family members. The tombs range in date from the end of the 4th dynasty to the 5th dynasty or even later. Tombs dating to the site and later period were found near the causeway of Khafre and the Great Sphinx. These tombs include the tomb of a commander of the army named Ahmose and his mother Queen Nakhta Bastarau, who was the wife of Pharaoh Amasis II. Southfield. The Southfield includes some mastabas dating to the 2nd dynasty and 3rd dynasty. One of these early dynastic tombs is referred to as the Covington tomb. Other tombs date to the late Old Kingdom. The south section of the field contains several tombs dating to the site period and later. Tombs of the pyramid builders in 1990. Tombs belonging to the pyramid workers were discovered alongside the pyramids, with an additional burial site found nearby in 2009. Although not mummified, they had been buried in mud brick tombs with beer and bread to support them in the afterlife. The tomb's proximity to the pyramids and the manner of burial supports the theory that they were paid laborers who took great pride in their work and were not slaves, as was previously thought. The commonly held belief of slaves building the pyramids was likely to have been popularized by Hollywood films based on the original archaeological and anthropological opinion that they could not have been built without forced labor. Evidence from the tombs indicates that a workforce of 10,000 laborers working in 3-month shifts took around 30 years to build a pyramid. Most of the workers appear to have come from poor families. Farms supplied the laborers with 21 cattle and 23 sheep daily. Specialists such as architects, masons, metalworkers and carpenters were permanently employed by the king to fill positions that required the most skill. New Kingdom. During the New Kingdom, Giza was still an active site. A brick-built chapel was erected near the Sphinx during the early 18th dynasty, probably by King Thutmose I. Amenhotep II built a temple dedicated to Haron-Tahari Makhet near the Sphinx. Pharaoh Thutmose IV visited the pyramids and the Sphinx as a prince, and in a dream was told that clearing the sand from the Sphinx would be rewarded with kingship. This event is recorded in the dream stela. During the early years of his reign, Thutmose IV, together with his wife Queen Nefertari, had stelae erected at Giza. Pharaoh Tutankhamun had a structure built which is now referred to as the King's Rest House. During the 19th dynasty, Seti I added to the temple of Hauron-Hari Makut, and his son Ramesses II erected a stela in the chapel before the Sphinx and usurped the rest house of Tutankhamun. Late period. During the 21st dynasty, the temple of Isis, mistress of the pyramids, was reconstructed. During the 26th dynasty, a stela made in this time mentions Khufu and his queen Henut-Sen. Astronomy. The sides of all three of the Giza pyramids were astronomically oriented to the north, south and east-west within a small fraction of a degree. Among recent attempts to explain such a clearly deliberate pattern are those of S. Jark, Neugebauer, Spence, Rawlins, Pickering, and J. Belmont. The arrangement of the pyramids is a representation of the Orion constellation according to the disputed Orion correlation theory.